Well, I'm Allison Keith, and I'm years old. No, I'm right around between 20 and 35. How about that? And then I'll say that I just had a baby 2 months ago. Proud mother, new mother, starting a whole new place in my life. Happily married for 9 years, and 6 years we've been together, 9. But yeah, so just doing good. That's a little bit about me.
Annyeonghaseyo. Hi, I'm Tiffany Grant, and I play the role of Kim Hotal, who is Korean. And that was the only thing I know how to say in Korean, which is hello. And I just finished my part in RahXephon yesterday. Can I show one more thing? Can I show my pencil board? All right, I brought this one thing for show and tell. This is my character right here, Kim. This is a shitajiki, a pencil board, and I have quite a few of these for different characters that I play. And right here you can see that it's signed by the character designer, which is Mr. Hiroki Kano. And I was very thrilled to get to meet him and have him sign this little memento for me.
My name is John Gremion. I've been with AD Vision doing voiceovers for about 5 years. I am a video editor by trade, but I also do voice acting on the side. I enjoy it a lot. I am a native Houstonian. I went to college just about everywhere. I studied acting in New York City. I went to Loyola University in New Orleans, University of Houston, and finally UT Austin, where I studied film.
Well, my name is John Swayze, and I'm an actor. No relation to Patrick Swayze, unless it helps me get a date, which it has, so sometimes I use that. But I'm an actor, born here in Houston, Texas, lived here all my life, have a wife, a 3-year-old daughter, and a little boy on the way that I think is going to be named Gar.
Hi, I'm Kelly Cousins, and I am a clone.
Oh, first get involved in acting. Quite frankly, it was in church plays when I was a little child, and then professionally I started acting with a theater company called Theater Under the Stars here in Houston when I was in 6th grade. So, kind of been dancing in my parents' living room much to their dismay for many years.
Well, I didn't really get involved in acting. I always was an actor, something I've been doing my whole life. So I was just born and it was there, something that I was always involved in my whole life. So I don't really know how to say how I got involved in it because it was just something that I always did. I wrote skits, performed them in my backyard. I was in drama in school. I majored in theater in college, so I just always did it.
I've been acting ever since elementary school in the 1st grade, and I studied it in high school and then again in New York City for a couple of years at the Juilliard School. And after that, I started moving toward film school. And so, but I've recently gotten back onto the stage and doing a lot of voice acting just in the last 5 years or so.
I first got involved in acting when I was about 15 years old, over half my life ago. And I went to New York with my parents. They took me up there, and we went to go see a Broadway show. And I sat on it must have been like the 7th or 8th row of this play, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And I was so blown away by the energy that was created, I decided right then and right there, this is what I'm going to do with my life. And the rest of the trip, all I told my parents was, I'm going to be an actor, I'm going to be an actor. And they were like, well, that's good. You know, you ought to think about law school. That's sort of like acting. And I was like, no. And seeing as how I couldn't get into law school anyway, it worked out pretty well. And I've just been acting since I was about 15, and it's gone pretty well so far.
I first got involved in acting when I was in 7th grade. I started auditioning for community theater shows and things like that, and I just kept it up through high school and through college, and now I am what you see before you.
I was in a comedy improv troupe with a friend named Amanda Wynn Lee, who some of you may know, and she had mentioned that she was doing some work with AD Vision and described to me about anime, and then I met good old Matt Greenfield, and there we go. So it was through Amanda Wynn.
Well, I got involved with voice acting about 9.5 years ago, so February of 1994, and there was a big cattle call for ADV trying to find their first pool of actors to dub their first show. And a friend of mine called me and told me that the auditions were happening, and I found out about it that way and came in and I auditioned, and I got to be the first actor hired in that group and in that first pool of actors, so that was very exciting to get to start at the beginning.
I started doing voice acting because I did impressions as a little kid, and all through high school I used to imitate all the faculty and just friends of mine and celebrities and different things like that. And a friend of mine once told me, you know, there's really good money in voice acting. You ought to look into it. You ought to try that. It's a fun career. It's a great way to make a living, and if you can get good jobs. And so I put together a little demo reel and brought it to an agent, and that was about 6 years ago, and I've been going ever since.
When you're an actor, you get an agent. That's just a natural progression. It's how you get work. And I had this dream I was going to be a film actor. That's all I wanted to do. And my agent convinced me to do a little, some voiceover work. And I did it, and I was absolutely blown away by how fun it was and how difficult it was. A lot of people think you just walk in and you're standing in front of a microphone and you're just talking. And that's not it at all. It's way more difficult than that. And it was something that I really grasped onto, and I've really kind of shifted more of my work towards that. I'll do a film every now and then, but most of my work, 80% of my work now is voice work, and I absolutely love it.
I first got involved with voice acting because a friend of mine, Jason Douglas, who does a lot of work here, got me involved with AD Vision. So I hadn't done a lot of commercial work before, and we were in a show together, and he thought that I had a good voice for it and I would be really good. So he gave me the number, and I called and got cast in small things at first and then got larger and larger roles. So I kind of fell into it, but I'm glad that I did.
It was, gosh, I believe Super Atragon. I think I had a small role in Gunsmith Cats, one of the first Gunsmith Cats, but my first role, I believe, was Sabra in Super Atragon.
My first dubbing project, that was Guy Double Target. That was the first. That was the first dubbed show that we did at ADV, and I think, thankfully, maybe you can't get it anymore. If you find a rare and precious copy, you should keep it and not show it to anyone under the age of 18.
My first project at ADV Films was the role of a father, and I can't remember his name, but he and his wife, their souls were taken out of their bodies by two evil twins in a Sorcerer Hunters episode a long time ago. So that was my first job. That was a challenge because I had to act like I was crying and getting very emotionally upset, so it was a big challenge right from the start.
My first project, I really, in all honesty, I can't remember. It may have been Tedesco, but I don't think it was. I think I'd gotten into this a lot more. That was later on, but most of the first characters that I did were Soldier A, Panicky, Idiot Number 2, crowd stuff, what is referred to in the business as Walla Walla. A lot of crowd scenes and bit characters here and there. And what's really fun about that is I think of myself as a character actor anyway. I'm not really a leading man. And it gives me a chance to do a lot of different characters. And plus, you really, I think, end up in the long run getting to work a lot more because you get to do so many different characters. You're not stuck with just doing one particular character all the way through a show. So, but as far as the first one goes, I really don't know. I've got all of every project I've ever done for ADV, I've kept, obviously, and I've trying to get it all chronicalized so I can, or chronologically put in order. So I have to kind of revisit that and figure out what the first character I did was. So I don't know if you know, let me know. Email me.
Funny you should ask, because I remember that my first dubbing project was Bubblegum Crisis, and I was a newscaster with an enormous bow, and that was it. And then I think I did background crowd noise and stuff like that, but that was my first.
Well, I played Misato in Evangelion, and one of the ones I enjoyed the most happens to be Sakura Yamazaki in Blue Seed. She was kind of a wacky nut. I enjoyed playing that character. I also recently recorded the role of Meryl in Rune Soldier, and I really enjoyed that role a lot. Burn Up Excess, I've done, oh gosh, Elchia. Some of the ones that I'm just trying to bring back from the memory. I've been lucky enough to do quite a few with ADV.
Well, most people know me for Asuka and Evangelion, obviously, and she got a really special place in my heart, and she's still probably my favorite, but there's so many of them that I really enjoy a lot, like Kome from Blue Seed, and a new character that I've just started playing recently, Tsukasa in Goemon. Really enjoying that very much. I loved working on RahXephon as much for just the beautiful animation and the great story as I did for playing the character. And also recently I played Altena in Noir.
I've played Nigel in Bubblegum Crisis 2040. I've played Munetaki in the Desco, Hayakawa in Gasaraki. Of course, this role, Kanugi in RahXephon. I've played the father in Super Gals. I played Conrad in Rune Soldier. That was one of my favorites, probably my favorite. I also enjoyed Kotonuki a lot in Princess Nine, and I love playing Munetaki in Adesco.
As an actor, you enjoy every role you get because it means you're working. So I have enjoyed every character I've ever played. One of the most, pardon me, one of the most challenging that I did, that I had a lot of difficulty with at first, was in Orphan, playing Lord Bulkin Polkano. And the reason was because it required such an intensity and an output of energy that I wasn't quite used to, and for long periods of time, not just a quick, 2 lines here, 2 lines there, but just this, pulling all this energy out. And just about every session after I would finish a session, a looping session, I would have no voice left, and it was brutal if I had to go do another voiceover because I couldn't do it. I had to postpone it or move it. But that was a very challenging character, but a lot of fun to play. And what was great about that character in particular was it gave me a lot of leeway to have fun with the character, and gave me a chance to really sink my teeth into a character, which I enjoyed. Not literally, I didn't sink my teeth into it. That would have ruined the DVD, but it was just a lot of fun to play that character.
Okay, and
I've played a lot of characters. After that, there were some minor things that I did in Martian Adesco. A girl who got blown up, and one of the Home girls, I think is how you say it. I did Steel Angel Kurumi, the title character. I did Gamera 3. I did Neo Ranga. I did lots of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. But I've enjoyed them all, but I really, really liked doing the Gamera because it was live action, and it was bizarre to see my voice coming out of somebody else's mouth. And just for making me laugh, I think that was my favorite.
I would have to say the one that might have been the most challenging vocally would be Nuku Nuku, which is, we're in the process of recording that now. She's a little bit younger, and the older I get, the lower my voice seems to go for some reason. So the placement in which I auditioned for her voice was a little bit difficult to maintain, but I would say that would be the most challenging vocally.
I think as far as being difficult, Altina in Noir was really a challenging role, just because she was very, very subdued, and maybe even though she was feeling a lot of things internally, she didn't really express that. So it was hard to keep on that even keel. And Kim, towards the end, since I guess this is on the last volume, I can talk about it. Well, the last volume of RahXephon was rather challenging. There are a lot of upheavals that happen in the last volume.
I think Munataki in Nadesco was the hardest to play because of the amount of screaming that I had to do. I had to quit early because my throat was so racked. It happens a lot. I'm trying to use my pharyngeal area back here, which is an area where you can learn to scream and open your back of your throat up, but I haven't learned to perfect that. So that was really tough, that one.
A lot of characters are challenging and difficult. Vulcan was very challenging. But what's really challenging, no matter for me, again, because I do a lot of character work, is trying to find the voice in the character right off the bat. A lot of times you walk into a session, you're given the script, and the director will guide you to kind of what they have envisioned for this character. And it's really up to the actor to really read the signs and pick up on the signals of what the director wants, and to grasp onto it. And sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. And when you don't, that's where it really starts to become difficult, because you know you're close, hopefully, but actually trying to find that character can be a real struggle, but a great journey, because once you've found it, it's just a joy, and it's like a big release, and you're able to just move forward and have a lot of fun with it.
There was a character in Full Metal Panic that I played that was sort of cold-hearted android assassin, and I don't know why it was so hard, but it was just, there was something about it that Don Rush, the producer of that one, and we couldn't figure out what her voice was and what to do with her. So we actually ended up recording a few episodes, and then we had to go back and re-record her. And I was really happy with how it turned out, but it was a little hard to find at first.
I would have to say live theater. It's been my passion from the moment I can remember, even knowing what a stage was. Just the immediate reaction that you can get from the audience, good and bad, helps to, I think, train you as an actor on how to deal with certain situations. And that's where most of my training, and I'd have to say passion lies, is in live theater, musical or plays.
Well, I mean, if you're performing in front of an audience, the great thing is the immediate response that you get, that you're feeding off of the energy of the audience. So that's really great for an actor, that you get that instant feedback, and you don't get it at all when you're in the booth. I mean, you get the reaction like of the director and the engineer, but that's about it. So, but with voice acting, it's so freeing. You're just open to playing such a wide variety of characters. So I think as far as live performance, definitely the audience feedback would be the #1 thing. And for voice acting, the variety and the range is the most appealing thing.
Voice acting is a lot of fun in that you don't have to worry about how you look. You don't have to prepare, get makeup, get costumes on, things like that. I think film acting is the toughest because you have to look a certain way, you have to have a certain energy, and there's no response from an audience like you get with live theater. Live theater is probably the most fun because you get a instant reaction and an energy and an interplay between yourself and an audience. You get a lot of validation for what you're doing, whether you're doing well or not. And if you do a great job on stage, the applause and when you're taking bows and things like that is probably the best feeling you can get when you're acting.
Live acting is great because you have the immediate audience response. Film acting is a lot of fun because it is such a complex experience with the cameras and stopping and starting. That's also kind of the downfall of it. It's hard to sometimes get into the character, especially if you're doing character work where you're a day player or something like that. But voiceover work, the great thing about doing anime is that you're getting to do characters just like in a play, but you're getting to really stretch yourself because it's purely vocal. And I love voiceover the most because it combines the two things that are dearest to me, which is acting and voiceover, and you can really combine the two. And to me, the voiceover aspect is by far my favorite piece of work to do.
Oh, live work and voiceover are so different, and I think that the thing that appeals to me most about live work is the immediacy of it, that you know who's there in the audience. I mean, you don't always know them personally, but you know that there are people there and you know how they're reacting to what it is that you're doing. And with voiceover, you don't know. But what's great about voiceover is that, I mean, you can do it, you can turn out a lot of it. With theater work, you work on one thing at a time, and it's about 2 months of your life, 2 months to 4 months of your life that get turned over to the theater for one particular project. But for voiceover work, you can work on 4 different characters in the same week, and that's really nice.
A lot of the times I ask a lot of people who may have seen the subtitles for this particular type of role, or I mean within voice acting, a lot of the people have either seen the subtitles or know a history about the shows, and our producers here are very well schooled, if you will, on the scripts and so forth. So a lot of times we'll just kind of talk about, and they'll give us a history and a background, and also a lot of it is when we are dubbing, I take what I hear, inflections of vocal things, and see how the Japanese actresses and what the role requires.
Usually the way I prepare for most roles is I like to watch the episodes that I'm about to work on. So I don't watch the whole show in advance because it could take months or a year to do a whole show. So I just watch like those episodes and just to kind of get a feel for what's going on in that episode. And I will ask the director as many questions as possible about the character, and depending upon the situation the character's in, the director is going to let me know what information I need about playing that character. And sometimes I've done research on the internet about the characters. But that's pretty much it.
I actually don't prepare for these roles very much. I pretty much come into the studio because of my schedule and talk to the director a little bit about, just get a rundown really quickly of what the situation is for the character, what the plot is, just get a real Reader's Digest version of the plot and the moment that I'm in. There have been times when I've come in and I have been a little bit weary and didn't really hear what the director said, and then I just have to go, and it's like, he's described to me, okay, 20 years ago you killed your daughter, and then this happens. That's RahXephon. And I didn't catch everything, and I just have to go, and I didn't really hear what they said. But you can get into the emotion of it pretty easily if you have just a general understanding of how you're supposed to feel about the person you're interacting with, the character you're interacting with, etc. So it goes okay.
Preparing for a role is, I think it's done differently for me for every piece I do. Some characters For instance, in Dunbine, the character that I do is, I've got him down pretty well, so I can just walk in and do it. Other characters, in RahXephon, for instance, I have to watch what I've done beforehand to make sure I get into the character. One of the biggest pitfalls for me, if I'm not careful, is, and again, this is also when you're a character actor and you're doing so many different roles for so many different projects, when you walk in, you have to be ready to be in that moment, and much to many directors' chagrin, I'll ask, can I hear what I did last time? And so I've gotten into a habit of now watching what I've done beforehand to get into that character, and I'll practice it. I'll watch it the night before, maybe 2 nights before I have to go into my session, and I'll just work on it all day. Whatever I'm doing, I'll try to speak like that character. I'll just try to maybe mimic some of the actions, the physicalization of it. So when I walk into a session, I'm ready to go. And watching is one of the biggest helpful ways for me to prepare. The other thing, though, is when you're starting out brand new on a project, you really have no idea. And again, you have to really rely on what the director says and how the director guides you. Sometimes they'll say, just give me something. And you look at the lines, you look at the script, and you get an idea of what the character is like. One of the biggest things is when you actually see the video portion, and you can see what the character looks like. You can see the physiological aspects. Is he a big, brawny man? Is he a scrawny person? Is he old, young, that type of thing? And you really just have to kind of latch on to that and sort of put yourself in that mode.
It depends on the role, how I prepare for it. Most of the time, what I do is I just sort of come in. I mean, we don't have the scripts beforehand. And a lot of the time, I don't really know, if it's the first time that I'm coming in for a series or a character or something like that, I don't really know what the character is or what the series is. So there's not much research that I do on the front end a lot of the time. Jackie Goldenberg liked for you to read the script ahead of time. And there's something that I'm going to be working on with Kyle later, where he sent the script to me just to see, so I could read it before I came in for my first sessions to try and make that go easier. But I do a lot of, I am curious about the things that I'm involved with, so I do a lot of looking them up on the internet and checking out, what people think about them and exactly why this particular series is so cool, and sort of looking that information up. But I do a lot of that after I've already recorded at least the first volume.
A little bit about my character, there's no problem. The little bit is that she is a cowgirl from Connecticut. What more can I need to say? She's kind of nutty, yet she's assertive. I think that's something that's what I'll say. She's a cowgirl from Connecticut. That's it.
Yeah, Kim is, she is rather reserved. She doesn't seem to really, she's friendly, she's professional with her coworkers, but she is not like a party girl. She does befriend Megami, but that's more or less just because her supervisor told her to do that because it's her little sister, Haruka says, watch out for my little sister. So, but it's neat because you can see that they actually do develop a friendship with each other, which is good because Kim doesn't have any family. You learn pretty early in the series that her whole family was wiped out when the Mu attacked. So the few friendships that she does develop there at Terra, those are really important to her. And of course, she has a relationship with Yagumo. And you get to see a little bit more about how that develops in 6 and 7.
Kanugi is the commander of the Terra forces, and he carries around a great deal of guilt for having had to take an order a long time ago from Kuki, his former commander, an act which resulted in the death of his daughter. And he's extremely stoic because he's carrying around so much guilt, and he's stepped on it for so many years that he simply talks at this level and acts very stoic around everybody and very cold, and yet he's buried a lot of his emotion. I like the arc of the character, though, because during the series and throughout, you get to know a lot more about why he is the way he is. He's not just this kind of cardboard cutout type of character where he's just stoic and nothing else about him because he's a commander. He really has a lot of dimension to him, and I got to explore that with the episode where you learn about his daughter, and that was a good episode to record because it got to be really deep about him. And then he, in his own special way, gets to, by the end of the series, get back a lot of his dignity, and I'll just leave it at that.
Ricto is this kind of an old man. Again, when I saw it, I tried to get myself into the character of an older man who's just kind of the wise old man that knows what's going to happen. Nothing really shocks him. He's just kind of got I think he's got a very good heart, and he just, what's really neat about him is just that nothing freaks him out. Nothing, really, boggles his mind. I think he's just, everything that happens to him or happens away from him that he finds out about, he's like, yeah, well, I told you that was going to happen, and it just is, he's so calm and laid back. It's almost kind of a little envious the way he is. Sometimes I wish I could be like that, where nothing really bothered me, or I just had a total. It's almost like he had a peace, even though the ultimate end is everyone's dying and the world comes to an end. It's just that's the way it is, and he's happy with that, or at least he's at peace with it.
My character's name is Helena, and she's a clone, and she is a clone that was bred for the express purpose of helping her master. When he gets old, he's going to take over her body. So she sort of knows about that. She helps him. She's his little toady. She's pretty nasty. I mean, just mean-spirited and pretty cold. And that's pretty much. And she's got a really unfortunate shirt that she wears all the time.
This one's been fun because I was particularly, what I liked most about RahXephon when I started it was the anime. I think the animation is really great, and I love the script. I think it flows really well, and it's very conversational. That's what I've enjoyed about this show, particularly the most.
The things that I've enjoyed the most about Kim is like that even though that she does appear very reserved and she's very confident in her job and everything, those times when you do get to see the door opens just a little bit and you can see into what her real personality is like when she just kind of let go, and she like the first time she has the outburst with Ayato and she's yelling at him, she's sort of focusing her anger about bad things that have happened to her, she's focusing that on Ayato, so I like that. When she gets to kind of break through that wall and experience a little bit more range of emotions than she normally has when she's just relaying orders from the bridge.
I think what I've enjoyed the most about Kanugi is that he has a great deal of authority, but like I said earlier, he's really a three-dimensional human being, and I like being able to play characters who have a very sensitive side, but still maintain a good level of authority.
I've enjoyed it the most because, like I said, it's a fun character to play, and some of the lines he has just are so funny just because you just kind of go, it's out of left field. That is a character, though, that for me has been a struggle doing each episode and each volume because if I don't watch what I've done before, it's a struggle to get back to that, to get back into that character. You know, there's, again, when you do so many characters, each one is different. It has its own idiosyncrasies and isms and that isms and whatever. And if you don't grasp onto each one of those, you can find yourself veering off into some other character, and then it spoils it. There was one session I did where I absolutely could not find the voice. And this is one of the funny things about voice acting, is you can hear in your head what it's supposed to be, and the director's telling you, no, that's not it, do it like this, and you can go, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do, but by the time it gets from here to here and comes out, it's not right, and it's very, very frustrating to not, you know, it's like a car, a train, where one of the wheels is not on the track, and you don't know how to get it back on the track, and that can be very, very frustrating.
I liked playing Helena as a little girl. I liked that a lot because you got to see sort of the roots of where she came from, and she was not any more pleasant as a 9-year-old than she is as an adult. It's nice because she's sort of one of the ones who always knows what's going on, and she always seems to know what the score is. She's very smart, and also very nasty. So it's all a lot of fun to play her.
Being that my dream has always been to be a cowgirl from Connecticut, all of me.
Well, there's always a little something of an actor, I believe, in every single role that they play, no matter how different it may seem on the surface. Obviously, Kim has been through really trying circumstances with losing her family and everything. But I related, I think, to the aspect that she does want to develop friendships with some of the people around her. And I did relate to her relationship that she has with So. I thought that was a really tender and engaging aspect about her character.
I'd say I've got a little bit of Kanugi in me, in that there have certainly been times in my life where I've just kind of, I think we all do it, we kind of step on something about ourselves that kind of hurts, and we have to carry it around, and we still have to do our job and maintain a certain level of respect, and do your job at work and maintain a certain level of dignity. So I think that's in all of us, but that's the part of it I think that's in me.
Well, I try to put as much as I can into every character. I try to really give it my all. I'm not sure how laid back I am all the time about everything. I wish I could be a lot more like Ricto, because he's so together and just knows what's going on, and I'm certainly not like that. I have no clue what's going on. You should ask my wife, she'll tell you.
Oh, all of myself is in this portrayal of the character. As I said before, I'm a clone, and so there's a lot that I can identify with her.
Don't ever stop. That's what I would say. If you're trying now, or if you're going to try, persistence pays off. You never be afraid. As someone who's knocked on doors and pavement in New York City, from Houston to all kinds of places, just don't ever stop. And don't let anyone ever tell you you can't do it. Believe in yourself, yet be realistic about what you are and what type you are, and own that and make that yours. But don't get discouraged, and just persistence. Keep going.
I think the main thing is to remember that it's acting. So that's number one. That's paramount, and it takes a lot out of you. And people that have said to me, "Oh, I'm shy and I don't want to get in front of an audience, so I think maybe I'd like to be a voice actor instead." I tell you what, there's no room for being shy in the booth because some of the stuff you have to do in there is pretty crazy. But I would say if you think you want to be a voice actor, just pursue acting in general and all the facets that that encompasses. And then, of course, you have to live in a city where they're doing it. So that's kind of really important too. But any and all acting training and experience that you can get, whether it's theater, independent films, or whatever, that's all going to stand you in really good stead whenever you do get that opportunity.
I would tell anyone trying to break into voice acting to put together a demo reel, whether you have ever done voice acting before or not. You can actually not fake it so much, but read something out of a magazine in different accents that you might have, try different levels, different voices, try to get on a computer and put music behind it. Just try to be creative with it. And you can even let someone know when you try to get an agent that you put this together from scratch, and that will actually really impress them because I think it'll go a long way. But you don't have to put together a demo reel of things that you've actually done. You can do that from scratch and just let someone hear the range that you can do and get an agent, because agents are terrific. They really take care of you and they get you auditions, and if you go to a good one, you can get a lot of good work.
Go to law school. It's much, much better. But if that doesn't work, if you really, really want to get into voice acting, what you should do is take some acting classes and see if you can put together some sort of demo tape with some characters and submit it and see if you can get an audition. But the main thing when you're doing voice acting, it's just like with any acting. It's just like with anything. You've got to make everything you say come from your heart. It's got to sound like these are your words. It is so easy to tell when somebody's just reading a line or when they're saying a line. And you just have to make every line your line, like it's your line that you're just telling us. The other thing I would say is the great thing about voice work, it doesn't matter how tall you are, how short you are, how skinny, fat, whatever. You can do it, and you can do it for a long, long time. The older you get, if you start out at 15 years old, you'll be able to play kids. And as you get older, you'll be able to play characters that are older. And so the great thing about voice acting is you can do it for a long, long time. At least I hope so. At least I'm hoping that's what I can do.
I would say to get into voice acting, I'd say do as much theater as you can. Don't focus on voice acting only. Do theater, do commercial work, do films, get training. It's a tough business, and it's not a business really to go into lightly. If you can do anything else, do it, because it's, this whole business of acting is really punishing. But the best thing that you can do for yourself is to make sure that you're prepared and give yourself tools. So do a voiceover workshop with somebody. Make sure that you have a voiceover reel so that people can hear what your voiceover work is. And if you want to audition for whoever is doing voice work, then you can send them in that. You don't have to fly in. It just makes you seem more professional, if that's what you want to do. And then it just doesn't hurt to, like I said, get as much training as you can in other areas, in other avenues. Don't just focus on voiceover, because any bit of acting that you do is going to help you.